Hey, what's up, guys? It's Oscar, and today we continue with the CodeSmell video series that I'm doing. Today we're going to talk about the CodeSmell long parameter list. And essentially, this is when there's too many parameters on a method or a function, and it just becomes more confusing, and it also makes it complicated to maintain. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at the definition that's in this document. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. Long parameter list. Okay. So long parameter list. Description. Extensive parameter list which makes it difficult to understand and is usually an indicator that a method has too many responsibilities. This smell has a strong relationship with long method. Long method is another CodeSmell, and let's see if we find it here, and we will cover that later as well. But just to give a little bit of I'm assuming it's large class on this one. A class has too many responsibilities and therefore contains too many variables and methods. The same SRP is also applied in this case. And SRP stands for single responsibility principle, which is one of the solid principles. So I do not see long method here, but it's fine. We're just gonna assume it is what the name indicates. Okay, sweet. So now that we know what that is, let's go ahead and jump into the code base here. The code. It's gonna be fairly quick, very simple. We're gonna assume that we have this class called timer, right? And this timer actually has a set time, current time, and whether it's paused or not, right? The timer takes in a number, a time, and that's gonna be the default and the current time. Now we have a start timer function, which essentially just runs every second and it subtracts from the timer, right? And then we have this pause conditional where if it's paused, it stops, or if it reaches 0, it's paused. It stops. And then we just have a pause timer function, which just pauses the timer. Then we have a check time left function, which essentially just it divides the current time by the set time, and then it gives us the percentage how far along are we from running out of time. So in this case, it checks if we're a third in. If we are not, then the timer level is 3. If we're less than halfway in, the timer level is 2. And if it's less than that, if it's more than halfway in, then it's level 2, else it's level 1. And ultimately, this check time left function calls get light color, and essentially it's just like a stoplight. If it's case 1, which is below 50%, it's red. If it's above 50% but under 75%, it's yellow. If it's above 75%, then it's green. And it just returns a string. This color is color because percentage is percentage. Okay? So in this example, what we're going to do is we have an unnecessary attribute here, and that is one of these two, right? And this is what we're going to do here. Watch. We're going to go ahead and jump into the solution, which is replace with query. And this solution was specifically named by Martin Fowler in his book Refactoring. Martin Fowler has a website called refactoring.com, and he presents these solutions in a catalog. The solutions are not the solutions are not broken up into the CodeSmells. Right? In the website, they're essentially just a catalog of solutions. I highly recommend anybody buy this book Refactoring, or read some of the academic documents that they have written about. They're highly informative and they're very cool. The book in itself is great simply because it gives more context. And it also talks about when and when not to refactor, the pros and cons of everything, right? So I highly recommend the book. Martin Fowler is completely awesome. A lot of the documents he writes about, and a lot of the topics and subjects is just phenomenal. So highly recommend you guys to check it out. Okay, let's go back to this here. Let's go find our solution here. So it's going to be replace with query. Replace parameter with query. There we go. We got it. So essentially what we're doing here is essentially he gives us this example of available vacation and employee grade, and the function available vacation takes employee and a grade, right? And essentially, in the solution, it kind of nests the grade in the a employee, and he calls it directly. But what we're gonna do is we're actually going to, let me see, let's look for this one, replace with parameter with method. Simply because I want to give you an example that he presents in this book, and it's the same thing. Let me see, maybe there's another one. It's only one. Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna go do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this. Let me see if I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this. I'm gonna open up my terminal here. iTerm 2. Let's see. Perfect. Let's see, where are we at? Okay. Block code, and then it's OOP, long parameter list. And I think this is it. Let me go ahead and zoom in a bit for you guys. Is that clear enough? Okay, I think that's too big. It might be too big. I don't know. Okay, I think that's good. Can you guys see that? Can you? Can you guys say yes if you guys see that? Just kidding. Okay, cool. Okay, okay, cool. So this is what we're doing because we're using Node, right? So we're just gonna run this code here. And let me explain this code while this runs. Essentially, we set a timer 5 seconds. We start the timer. You put a set timeout, meaning that it's gonna stop. It's gonna stop after 3. This code is gonna execute after 3 seconds, and then this one's gonna execute after 1 second. So essentially, it's going 5, 4, 3, pause, and then it gives this time color is, and it says the color is red because percentage is 0.04. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna delete this simply because it doesn't make sense. Cool. Now check this out. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the same functionality, but we're trying to remove extra parameters simply because it could make this they can make this unmaintainable, and it could make this harder to read and reuse, right? Especially as we have more parameters added to this and our code grows. This is a very simple example and very short example, so it might not be necessary in this stage, but let's hypothetically assume, let's just imagine that we're working on a huge code base and just like 20 parameters, right? So what we're doing here is because this relies, and I guess the reason why this solution is beneficial here is because this relies on the parameters for the same object here, right? So current time and set time are both parameter or properties of timer, right? So timer will always have this, right? So one of the things that we're gonna do is we notice that we use it here. We figure out what this is here, and then we determine what this is here, and then we pass it onto here, so we could use it here. So just being passed all over the place. A better way to do this, right? It's to encapsulate this, to make its own function about this, right? And what we could do is because this will always exist within timer. What we could do is we could create a function, right? Get percentage. Oh, yeah, okay, get percentage. And simply what we could do is we could do return, and we could remove this here, remove this, and we could do this, right? And now what we could do here is we could actually just put get percentage everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but we could remove it here, remove it there, and then we could remove it completely from here. And we could even remove it from here. So now the only thing we need is level. And this could actually just be get percentage. Right? And another thing is, I'm sure we would be able to get rid of timer level here by doing something similar. But essentially, this this is all encapsulated within here. And then get light color is the whole, it's encapsulated with its own thing. And then it just returns it. So now if we run this, we're gonna get the same result. We're gonna remove a parameter and we're gonna have a specific function to get the percentage. Sweet, so we got the same thing and it stops at 0. So now let's see if we could get it to red. So because this is 5, if we go ahead and do, let's do 10. That should give it about 7, it should stop about a 7-second mark. So that should be about yellow from what I believe. 10, 9, 8, 7. Perfect, color is yellow. And then just let it run out. Sweet, right? So essentially this is the quick solution for it. This is replacing a parameter with the query, meaning if the parameter relies on, if the parameter is part of an object and basically that object, that parameter will always be within that object or that class, we could essentially just create a function and encapsulate that parameter or the result of that parameter, and we could just pass around the function, right? So whenever we need to change something to this formula, we could do it within here and we don't have to go around trying to replace all of them. Excuse me. And that is actually it. In the next video, we're actually going to talk about something a little bit different, is introducing parameter objects, and we're also going to talk about removing flag arguments. So with that said, I hope you guys tune in next time, and I hope you guys found this helpful. Other than that, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.